Hi, boys and girls. Today I'm going to read you a book called The Growing Tree, written by Judith Bauer Stomper, illustrated by Wesley Lowe. She wrote the pictures. Growing Tree. This is a picture of my tree and me. We've been growing up together for a whole year. It all began last summer. I went to visit a national forest with my mom and dad. I wonder what a forest is. Let's see if we will find out. A forest is a great place to learn about trees. There are trees as far as you can see. We took a hike with a forester. He is a person that works with trees on taking care of trees in the wild. The forester showed us small young trees and big old trees that were like towering giants. Then he explained the life cycle of a tree. It all starts out with a seed. In the spring, the warm sun makes the seed germinate or begin to grow. That's another word for grow, germinate. The seed sprouts a small root that grows down into the ground. The roots absorb the water and minerals from the soil. Next, a small stem pushes up out of the ground and grows into tiny seed leaves. The leaves, the sunlight to give the tree energy to grow because sun and water help plants grow. A new growth called a shoot appears at the tip of the stem. Larger leaves grow from the shoot, the seeding on its way to becoming a tree. The young tree keeps growing if it gets enough water and sunlight to survive. In its next year of life, the tree grows buds that may turn into leaves. Soon, the tree has branches, a woody trunk, and lots of leaves. Each year, the tree grows taller and its trunk gets wider. A forester can tell how old a tree is by counting its rings on the tree trunk. A tree trunk has one ring for each year it has been alive. This tree was more than 100 years old. A forester can also find out how old a living tree is by using a tree borer or a tool that takes out a small part of the tree without hurting it. After our trip to the forest, I wanted to grow a tree of my own. Dad took me to a nursery where you can buy flowers, shrubs, and trees. Have any of you boys and girls ever been to a nursery? I have. There's a lot of cool things at a nursery. A nursery has trees that have grown big enough to transplant or plant in a new place. The nursery worker showed me where trees that have flowers in the spring and fruit in the summer. We looked at trees with soft leaves with pine needles. I chose a maple tree. My tree was already more than 4 feet high, just a little taller than me. The nursery worker helped us choose a shovel to plant the tree. She recommended organic fertilizer to feed the tree as it grew. Fertilizer helps plants and flowers grow. Then she went over the instructions on how to plant my tree. I picked out a place in our backyard where the tree would have lots of sunlight and lots of room to grow. Then Dad and I dug a hole with the shovel. The hole was as deep as the tree's root ball and about 3 times as wide. So look, the Dad and the little girl had to build a hole big enough so that they could put the tree in plant the tree in the hole so that it would fit. We carefully lowered the tree into the hole. We loosened the burlap bag around the roots. There are the roots underneath there. Next, we filled in soil around the tree. I added organic fertilizer to the soil and sprinkled mulch on top. So boys and girls, what was the fertilizer again used for? You said it was used to help the trees grow. You were right. Fertilizer helps trees grow. It gives them nutrients. Then I gave my tree a nice drink of water because trees and plants need lots and lots of water to grow. Dad asked an arborist, to check the other trees in our yard. I wonder what an arborist is. An arborist is like a doctor for trees. She pruned the branches for our big trees with pruning shears. So an arborist is a person who works with trees and knows how to take care of them. She checked all the trees for signs of disease. She also listened for bugs by using a stethoscope. She looked like a doctor. One of our oldest trees had been damaged in a storm. The arborist used a handsaw and a chainsaw to cut off 2 broken limbs. I asked the arborist to check my tree. She said it was doing just fine. She added a stake to help it grow up straight. So this is the stake that'll help the tree go nice and straight so it won't grow crooked. When the weather turned cold, my tree's green leaves turned what color? So she started out with green leaves, and then what color did it turn? If you answered red, you're correct. They turned red. Then they twirled down to the ground. So what happens, boys and girls, after leaves fall down to the ground? There's no leaves on the trees and it's getting ready for winter. The next spring, my tree grew buds that turned into leaves. Over the summer, it grew branches with more leaves. Its trunk grew thicker. So when the leaves die down and it gets warmer in the springtime, new buds will start to grow and make new leaves on the tree. This is a leaf from my red maple tree. It has 3 lobes that have saw-toothed edges. The bark is dark gray and rough with little ridges. So a maple tree is just another type of tree that you might see around, and there's lots and lots of other different types of trees. All summer, I watered my tree and checked it for insects. It just kept growing. The arborist said that my tree could grow 60 feet high. That's taller than my house. Look at my tree now. It's much taller than I am. If I take good care of it, it will be around for a long, long time. A tree is a great friend to grow up with. So in this picture, boys and girls, there are all different types of trees. So here is an oak tree, and here is a palm tree. You might see where it's warm, like in Florida or in California. Here's a really big pine tree. You might see those a lot around here. Weeping willow trees, those are really cool trees. And Japanese maple, oh, those are beautiful. You might see these I think in Washington, D.C., they have a lot of these Japanese maple trees. And last but not least, a sweet cherry tree right here. So if you wanted to have your own tree, what kind of tree would you want to plant? I would want to plant a palm tree because I like palm trees and I like to see them when I go to Florida. So that's the kind of tree I would plant. So maybe you can think about what kind of tree you would like to plant one day at home. All right, boys and girls, I hope you enjoyed this story and I'll see you soon. Bye.